Hey, welcome everybody to another tactical commercial real estate broker training. We're talking about how to grow your business and how to grow systems and also how to just do the basics of commercial real estate training. Now, it also applies to residential. I always say that if you can sell commercial, you can sell residential. We feel like it's an opportunity for you, if you're a residential agent as well, to learn from commercial agents. And so my name is Brett Swarts, and I'm founder of Capital Gains Tax Solutions. I'm also an eXp multifamily broker here in Sacramento, as well, soon to be in Florida part-time, both places. And I'm also joined by one of our team members. Her name is Ciara, and I'll have her pronounce her last name, but we're just going to talk through some training that we've been through and role play a little bit. And I think you're going to find some value in this. Ciara, how are you doing?
Good. Hi, Ciara Salayandia, or Ciara Sal, as we're going by. It's a little bit easier to say. So happy to be here and excited to be a part of this training.
Excellent. So we're going to go through a couple things today. We're going to touch on the value of virtual assistants to free up your time and your energy to be able to focus on your clients and actually making cold calls, creating content, and then really designing your business, right? Because at the end of the day, if you can't free up your time, then you're going to have a very difficult time of doing the things we're also going to trade on, such as how to make a cold call, right? What an interest generator is, what is even the purpose of a cold call, right? What is the first meeting? What is the second meeting? What is the listing proposal for? Ways to underwrite. And these are all the things that we're going to kind of weave in throughout these trainings. In particular, today, we're going to be talking about cold calling and the value of that. But before we go there, I just went through a vision mapping coaching last week. It was amazing. It was a Brent Gove event. And for 3 hours, we did 2023 planning. And as a part of that, there was a section called Delegate to Elevate. And the idea here is to be able to delegate a lot of the admin, a lot of the stuff that may be, social media marketing. It could be building proposals and packages. It could be collections. It could be HR. It could be really anything that takes up your time and energy away from your client-facing activities or really income generating activities. And as a part of that, they encouraged us to do what's called a time audit, where every 15 minutes you're auditing what you're doing, and you do this for like a week, right? And it's kind of painful, right? But you're like, what am I doing with my time and my energy every 15 minutes? And as you audit and as you look at that, it'll paint a picture of really where your time is being spent, kind of like counting calories, right? You don't really know how much you're eating unless you're actually tracking some of these things. And from there, you can start to segment where are the opportunities to delegate out. So if you haven't already done so, for any of your planning, you want to delegate and free up your time and energy so that when you have these big visions and these big grand goals, that you actually have the bandwidth to do them. Because otherwise you're going to get caught in the it's the procrastination excitement thing, where you get something excited, you start it, you're all ready to go for it, you procrastinate a little bit, and then all the momentum, you lose that momentum, and it kind of just goes to nowhere, right? And we've all been through that entrepreneurial excitement of something, get pumped up from a conference, get pumped up from a training or something, and then we start out, but we don't finish it because we don't have support, we don't have a team that's focused on that, right? Or a team member. And so, Ciara, I want to ask you, have you ever heard of the time blocking or not even time blocking, but time auditing? Have you ever done that before? And what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, great question. Definitely heard of time blocking. Definitely tried it. I think that what you say about time auditing is brilliant, because how can you really time block if you don't know where you're spending your time? And that's where I find myself. So I think that's a fantastic idea.
Yep. And so it's really simple. You actually have a piece of paper. Let me see if I can actually see a sample here. And they said, even before you do that, by the way, you're going to draw a line on the piece of paper like this. And this is called Delegate to Elevate. And it's going to talk about the zones, what you love to do and you're great at. Let me see what this focus is. There it is. Love to do and you're great at, like to do and you're good at, don't like to do and you're good at, don't like, and not good at, right? So you write this and you basically want to be in your zone of genius, and you want to, whatever comes to your mind, right? So for example, what I like to do and I'm good at is podcasting, interviewing, right? However, I've now delegated at least 30% of that out to somebody. Although I'm really good at it, um, someone who can do it 80% of what I can do is 100% better than, is 80% done by someone else is better than 100% done by me. Okay. So although I like it, I'm getting rid of it. Now, what am my zone of genius? Well, creating content, videos, coaching, solving problems with clients, unlocking what's possible, speaking on stage, podcast, being interviewed myself, right? Some of the stuff that I don't like to do, I'm very good at. Underwriting, I'm good at it, but I don't necessarily like to do it. Drafting listing paperwork, like I'm good at it. I've done it so many times, but is it my highest and best use of my time? No, right? In fact, and one of the things I don't like and not good at, admin, paperwork, DocuSign, these things like drain my energy, right? I'm like, I loathe them, right? Not only that I'm not very, efficient because if something's boring me, like I'm just naturally not going to want to do it typically, right? So website creation, landing pages, Canva work, transaction coordination, scheduling anything and everything, editing videos, right? So you want to get your zone of genius, and then you want to go and find out, well, how much time and my energy am I spending on stuff, right? What is this even looking like? And it focuses here. And these are every 15-minute increments. And I'll be doing another one of these sets. It's hard. I'm sorry. Someone can zoom in here. Basically, it's like a 15-minute. It says time, activity, focus. Okay. And it's like 12 a.m. And they talk about doing this for 14 days and do this every 15 minutes, including the weekends. And the coach on stage said, I know this is really painful, but it's so important, right? And then so every 15 minutes, you're talking about what activity you're doing and what is your focus. Activity you're doing, what is your focus? And you do that for 14 days. You block it all out. And then you basically map it up to like, what's your zone of genius and what's the stuff that you like and you shouldn't be doing, right? What's the stuff that you don't like and you still shouldn't be doing? And then that kind of roadmaps to, okay, as my admin comes in, as my virtual assistant comes in, which we're going to talk about how to do this versus feeling overwhelmed, you can start to delegate those things out to them, right? Right. Just slowly. So, Ciara, any thoughts on that or questions on that?
No questions. I need to get a copy of that paperwork.
I'll send it to you. Cool. So what does that look like? Okay. So you literally get a virtual assistant. I recommend you get someone from the Philippines. They speak typically pretty good English, and then they are very loyal. They work very hard. In fact, I have 5 full-time team members right now in the Philippines. I'm adding 1, maybe 2 this week. Okay. Plus we're adding another 3 full-time cold callers. That's how committed I am to building and delegating. Part of it is because my vision for my family, my time and my energy is not to spend my entire time and energy working, but it's actually spending my time and energy with my family and doing things that are that give me energy and spending time with my clients, honestly, to solve more problems. But until I get out of, I am the attraction, I am the conversion, I am the delivery, and I'm the collections, I'm always going to be, the business is going to own me, right? It's going to own my time, my energy, my stress, all of it's going to own me. So I've got to get out of those things. And I want to be in the things that definitely give me energy and push me forward and expand on the gifts, because there's a concept called the success and fulfillment formula. Ciara, ever heard of that before?
No, what is it?
Okay. So it's our zone of genius, or our gift, or that superpower, or that strength, whatever you want to call it. I believe these are gifts that are given to us by God, and these gifts are given to us to be a blessing and help to others. So it's one thing just to know what those are, but then the next thing is you got to radically delegate everything else that's, especially for work, that's not associated with doing that thing. Okay. So that means what? That means you can maximize the potential of that gift. So that's the second part of the formula. The first thing is identifying, knowing what that is, right? Number 2 is maximizing the potential of that, which means you got to free up your time and your energy so you can maximize the potential. Number 3 is impacting as many people as you possibly can with that gift, right? And then the fourth part of the equation basically is like, there's a higher purpose for why we've been given this gift. Like, we got to be good stewards with it, and we got to make a difference in people's lives with it. But it takes all 4 of those. Like, if you're missing one of those 4, basically if you've only identified, but you haven't maximized the potential, or you're not maximizing the potential, you're going to feel like you're not succeeding or something's missing. Like you're going to be like, gosh, why am I getting the traction I should be getting? Why am I getting the fulfillment or the purpose that I should be getting in my work and my career? Right. Because I'm getting drained by the stuff because I'm not maximizing that potential. If we were all Beethoven or Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant or Steph Curry or whoever that person is that's the best in their field, right? Guess what they were able to do? Like focus like a laser in becoming the best of what they do, right? And that means they did almost nothing else. Like when it came to focus, right? So okay, so we got to free up our time. We got to identify what it is. And then we've got to make a difference for more people, which means creating content and maximizing our voice out to as many people as we can through technology, through creating videos, through podcasts, through YouTube, through calling more people, meeting more people, speaking on stage, so we can maximize the impact to have on more people. And then again, the bigger purpose is there's a higher calling for this. Like there's something more than just this life. That's my belief. And that equals fulfillment. That equals success. And if you're missing that one of those, and not that you're not being somewhat successful, but I feel like for my life, my career, those are the moments when something was missing. Like it wasn't quite as much as I thought it would be. Ciara, do you connect with that? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. And when you focus on like your higher calling and what you're really good at, what are some tips you have on being able to delegate those things that you still kind of hold on to, thinking that you're really good at, but things that you really need to pass on to someone else? How do you let go of that?
Yep. And it's a saying that 80% done by you or somebody else, you being that virtual assistant or that new team member, is better than 100% done by me. Right. So like 80% of the effectiveness or 80% of the productivity or 80% of the quality done by you, somebody else, is better than 100% done by me. And so first of all, it's letting go of, okay, yeah, it's not going to be as good as if I were to do it. Right. In fact, part of being entrepreneurs is we all think we can do everything the best, right? We have enough time, enough energy, we'll do it better than anybody else. And there's some truth to that, right? However, what I found is that although it was maybe 80% done by them, especially in the beginning, was definitely better than 100% done by me. And it wasn't as perfect to my standards. Eventually, because they're doing it over and over and over and they're in their zone of genius, they go to 120, 150%. And it's way better than me, right? I'm like, oh my gosh. Now it might have taken them some time. And what I found is that we don't find leaders, we build leaders, right? So we don't necessarily find their zone of genius. We might need to help them with their zone of genius, right? And then we build those leaders, and then all of a sudden they way exceed anything that we could do on that level. And an example of this would be my systems design architect, Pink, and her name is Pink. In fact, her parents were artists. Her sister name is Red, and her other sister name is Beige. And she's amazing, and she's amazing at what she does. But I had to build and help her with in the beginning, and she's been with me for 5 years. So, but I kept encouraging her, and I kept pouring into her, and I kept encouraging her and pouring into her. And now she's brilliant. Like literally the business wouldn't run. I just returned from a 17-day trip with the family in Hawaii, and the business wouldn't run. In fact, I wouldn't even go to Hawaii. I'd be so stressed out, like, because we had multiple deals closing. We're in collections month. We're in so much, like so much is going on that without her at the helm, by the way, she has four others now, or we have 5 total, right? There's no way the business would run. Everything would stop. Everything would hold. I'd be totally stressed out. And so that was big for me to build into her and to have her in her zone of genius. Now she's way better than me. Ciara, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's huge. And I think that speaks to the who and not the how. I think a lot of us get caught up on well, how am I going to find talent to really replace some of these things that I do? And I think you're speaking to more like, it's not really the how and getting caught up in like, but I can do it better. And it's more about finding the right person and then pouring into that right person, and then they make it happen. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Now it does mean that we have to find a quality person, right? So we got to find the humble, hungry, smart. And there's a book by Patrick Lencioni, and he talks about this. Humble is being coachable and knowing your strengths. It's not thinking less of yourself. It's actually being very confident in what you do very well. But it's been humble enough to be coachable as well. Hungry is like you work extremely hard. You have internal built-in motivation to work hard. You're not having to have others motivate you to work hard. Like you're just a hardworking focused person that works extremely hard in what you do. Okay. Number 3 is smart. And smart is not just IQ. I mean, IQ is actually what we think about when we think smart. It's actually EQ, the ability to connect emotionally with people, right? And how well you work with others. And if they have those 3 qualities, then now you found that, that person. And by the way, we typically struggle or maybe not as great in one of those part of those qualities, right? But if you can find all 3, now it's your job as a leader is to make them successful. So every new hire that comes on our team, I switch the mentality to, hey, you prove to us that you're going to be successful, to, hey, it's my responsibility to make you successful. And it changes it. Now it's your responsibility as the new team member to be humble, hungry, and smart, right? To be internally motivated, to be coachable, and to connect well with others, right? And if you're doing those things, right, and it's my job to make you responsible, now all of a sudden we're working as a team and we're building each other up, and I'm really pouring into that to that team member. I do the same thing now too for our team. So Pink, for example, might bring somebody on, and I say, Pink, it's your job to make that person successful, right? It's my job to make you successful. So as I pour all of the opportunities and different things, that all the vision that I have and all the systems we're wanting to build, you go build them, but then you got to delegate that off to somebody else so that I can pour more into you. And so it's each of us building and helping one another. Does that answer the question, or did I go off on a tangent there?
No, that answers the question. Yeah.
Okay. So practically speaking, what does this look like? This is so important. Okay. Practically speaking, when I first started getting VAs, this is what I would do. I would show up and I'd be like, okay, oh my gosh, like, what are we going to do today? Man, like, I got to teach you. Oh gosh, well, we got to do like a lesson plan. I get like a PowerPoint, and you tell me I got to like sit here with my time and energy and like teach this PowerPoint, and like, here's what I want you to do. And here's how to underwrite, and here's, a cap rate, and, here's, like, gosh, I have so much work to do. I don't have time to teach someone this stuff. Right. And that was my mistake at first. I thought I had to teach somebody versus them sitting on my shoulder and observing everything I'm doing. And I'll say that again. It's very important. I thought I had to teach them everything I knew and how I did the thing. Like, this is how it's done, versus them sitting on my shoulder and watching everything I do. So Ciara, do you speak any other languages besides English?
I speak Spanish.
Okay. So Ciara, if I wanted to learn Spanish, how long do you think it would take for us to sit on a Zoom call and you to teach me Spanish?
Probably a few years.
Okay. Yeah, probably a few years, and probably just brain damage, right? Because it would be like really painful versus like, hey, Brett, we're going for 3 months, and it's going to be immersive. All of our families are all traveling to Mexico, and we're going to go for 3 months, and we're going to just hang out and, serve the communities, do different things. And we're going to be immersive, and all we're going to do is speak Spanish for 3 months, and we're being in the culture, we're going to be immersed in it, right? How much quicker would we be able to, and by the way, how much more enjoyable would that be for you, for me as the person who's trying to learn?
Yeah. Yeah. Like a true apprenticeship.
Yeah, exactly. You're just immersing yourself. And even like basketball. I played basketball growing up, playing college. Like, if I wanted to teach you how to play basketball, Ciara, you played volleyball, right? Or soccer. I'm sorry, soccer.
Mm-hmm.
We sat on a Zoom meeting and a PowerPoint presentation versus, no, let's just go out on the field, right? Let's just, it's so, but some reason we think our false belief is, hey, I've got to teach this person. No, they just have to sit on your shoulder. So what does that mean? Well, you've done your audit, right? And now you say, okay, VA, you're showing up with me for 1 hour. We're going to be doing this thing. What's this thing? We're going to do skip tracing, right? We're going to be doing underwriting. We're going to be doing pulling sales comps. Whatever the stuff you're already doing, right? You're already doing the things. And it's just you're not going to just change your whole entire week or your whole entire schedule for this person. No, they're just there just to be on your shoulder. Okay. You're going to do all the things you're already doing. And guess what's going to happen? As you do that, right? As you do the trainings with this person, as you do the underwriting, as you do the skip tracing, as you do the marketing, as you do the Canvas, as you do the on and on and on and on and on, right? They're going to just slowly be absorbing this. And it might take 1, 5, 10, 50 times. But guess what? On that 30th time, that 20th time, that 50th time, all of a sudden you're going to say, you're going to look over and be like, hey, do you think you can just do that? You just saw me do it 25, 50 times. Yeah, I think I can probably do it. Great. Why don't you give it a shot? Right. And you sit there and you may watch them over their shoulder. and you help them out. So John Maxwell talks about this concept of I do, you watch, right? I do, you watch. And then what? You do, I watch. You do, I watch. And then the third thing is you teach someone else how to do it, right? And you watch, and then vice versa. They do it and you watch. So it's just, this is a way to delegate, but all it takes is absorption. It doesn't take you teaching. You teach. Now you might obviously be, hey, this is why I'm doing the thing that I'm doing, right? And there might be something kind of specific that's kind of like a system that you're doing all the time. Like skip tracing might be an example. And you might spend an entire hour doing skip tracing, and you're going to record that on a Zoom, by the way. And this is the next level to this. You're going to record that on a Zoom as they watch you doing it. And you're in a screen share, right? And you're paying, it could be $3 to $5 an hour, right? And by the way, I recommend 40 hours a week immediately, 40 hours a week, full time, rip the Band-Aid off, make sure they're just focused like a laser on your business, your goals, what you're doing, right? What their role is. But for 40 hours, they're on your shoulder watching you do these things. But you might have a specific skip tracing, day or week or whatever, right? Or like, and you can't do it. I mean, you do that for 40 hours, you'd be also really bored. But let's say 1 hour a day, we're doing skip tracing, and I'm going to record it on a Zoom. Now, after that hour, I want you to go back and watch that. I want you to watch that for an hour. So I want you to replay what we just did. Then I want you to write basically SOP, or like a step-by-step of how to do that in your own words. Okay. In your own words. And you're going to do that for, let's say, 5 straight days. And each day you're going to start from scratch as if this is a brand new training. Because there's stuff in our brains that we naturally have already, conditioned and have done and learned, that sometimes it doesn't even come out until we start talking and speaking and like moving the mouses around, right? So let's say you did that for 5 straight days, 8 a.m. every morning. We're going to skip trace for 1 hour. The second hour, you're going to go back and rewatch that. The next part is you're going to write down the SOPs, basically the systems and the steps for this. And then tomorrow I'm going to train again, right? And within that 5-day period, you basically should get out all of the scenarios that are in your brain, and by putting in their own words, they should be able to get, right? Then when it clicks, then you're going to watch them for a couple of times, and I call it the rope. And here's the rope and scenario. And I learned this from Dave Ramsey, and Dave Ramsey talked about the rope, and the rope was for his kids and his team members too. In the beginning, the rope's really tight. It's really close to you, right? There's not a lot of freedom as you move, as I move, you move. But as you perform and as you're trustworthy, the rope gets longer and longer, and you get more and more freedom to go kind of do your thing. So in the beginning, the rope's going to be tight, but as they build competency and as they're doing doing a good job, you let the rope out. And so there's times you might need to pull it in, times you just let it go out. But eventually it's something like skip tracing you may never have to do ever again. And so I did this with video editing. I did this with podcast editing. I did this with, Canva and marketing stuff. I did this with, now I still need to do with underwriting. But that's what I'm moving towards, underwriting and proposals. I've done this with a lot of emails too. So emails, now this took years of a lot of things. And so email is probably way out there, but think about 25 or 50% of your emails to be answered by somebody else, right? So you can just focus on those. So Ciara, I'm going to pause there. Any questions on that?
No questions. I think it's a great strategy.
Cool. All right. So that's the VA. That's the VA. Okay. So if you haven't got a VA yet, just 40 hours a week, hire them right now and just start them observing. Okay. So now what can that do? That can open you up for your time and your energy to actually make cold calls or create content or speak at events or do events. Okay. So let's talk about the cold call. All right, Ciara, what is the purpose of a cold call, Ciara? If you're calling me to try to list my property or get a meeting, what is the purpose of the cold call?
I would say the purpose of the cold call is first off, it's introductions, right? But then the meat of the call is to see if I can identify a problem that I would have a solution for.
Okay, pretty good. Yeah. So the how-to is, of course, introductions, building some rapport, having an interest generator. We'll talk about that. But what do you want the outcome to be? So if you call somebody and they have a $50 million mobile home park, RV park, right, which is your specialty, what would you want the outcome to be? You call this person, you talk to them for 5-10 minutes. What are you hoping for?
I'm hoping to establish the relationship, like you said, build some rapport, gain a little bit of trust. They know who I am. They know my name now. Drive them to my website. And like I said, I want to hear about their park. I want to hear about them. I want to hear about where I may be able to offer some solutions and maybe they don't have the answer for. And then after this call, I want to maintain the relationship and I want to be the first person that comes to mind when they do have a problem or later down the road, if they do want to sell or refinance or anything, that I'm the person that comes to mind. That's the purpose.
All that sounds really, really good. But here's what I'm going to tell you. It's kind of like friend zone. Were you ever in high school or in college, whenever, right? But, you're married now, I'm married now, right? Before that, but there's like the friend zone. You always have those friends who got in the friend zone. Maybe you got in the friend zone, right? The friend zone is where basically you're just friends. It's never really going to go anywhere, right? So unless you have like a focus in mind that actually the purpose of the call is to go on the first date, which means in person, a meeting, right? A meeting. So the purpose of the call, ultimate outcome is, and you might do some of those things in between, like you talked about, but really what I want to do is set a meeting. And this, and then in the commercial real estate world, or even the brokerage world, be a listing appointment, right? Or a buy side appointment. Something where I'm not having the meeting on the call. I'm actually going in person and then specifically saying for this time and date, I will spend time and energy with this person, right, on this particular property, right, as a way to help them solve those problems that they might have, right? So actually the purpose of the call is to not have the meeting, right? And although it is maybe to build some rapport and some trust and their name recognition, it's really just to set a meeting in person, ideally, right? Now, if you're in, this state, right, it might be even a Zoom meeting, but ideally it's an in-person meeting. So any thoughts on that, Ciara?
Yeah, I agree. And I speak a little bit more to my clients are on the other side of the country. So my way of meeting is phone calls and emails. But yeah, to continue the relationship in the meeting, if I could meet everybody in person, that would be amazing.
Yes. So to that point though, right, this is what I would say. I would encourage you as you're making cold calls and as you are time blocking like these 2 hours of calls is making sure you have the clear outcome. Like what will start at the end of my end in mind is to get a meeting, as many meetings as I can. In fact, the goal typically is 3 to 5 meetings a week. Okay. And it's typically about 200 calls a day or so. Right. And your goal is to set 3 to 5 meetings a week. And your goal is to get a chance to get 1 to 2 listing presentations a week as well. That's the goal. And so you got to do it step by step. So in that scenario, a meeting would meet a Zoom meeting later on, right? A Zoom meeting later. So you might cold call somebody on a Monday. I'm actually thinking about selling. Excellent. Great. Well, how does Thursday at 10 a.m. for a meeting with me on Zoom to go through your property? Could you bring your financials? Could you send me your current rent roll? Could you prepare all those things? Could you send those 2 things to me so we can kind of review a little bit when we meet? And so the purpose is to set that meeting, even if it's a separate time, because there's a couple things going to happen. One, if they're married, right? But sometimes there's the one spouse who's like really friendly on the phone, but they're really not the decision maker, right? They're really not the person who's going to make the decision. And then it could be the husband, it could be the wife. And the person who's super friendly is friendly to all the brokers, all the people, and gets all the knowledge. And the person behind the scenes who's never taking the calls is the person who's making the decisions. But as soon as there's like a meeting set, and especially if you set a meeting and say, hey, your spouse, right? I'd love to have them. Are they able to make the call? All of a sudden they're coming to the room, and guess what? You actually have the ability to influence the person who makes the decision. Okay. But a lot of times you won't even know that. And then they'll just say, oh, I never had the authority to make the decision anyways. Basically it's a counterfeit yes, or a counterfeit. You might have some rapport, but you're in the friend zone, right? You're in the friend zone. And so I had to learn this the hard way multiple times. And I had to become ruthlessly focused on setting the meeting. That is the goal. And that's the outcome of this call. I'm calling you to set a meeting. I'm not going to say that out loud, but I'm here to see if you're buying or selling real estate and if you're ready to meet to get serious about solving your problems, right? And so this is typically why I'll call and I'll say, ring, ring.
Hello?
Ciara.
Hi, who's this?
This is Brett Swarts. I'm a multifamily specialist here in Sacramento, and I'm calling on 123 Main Street. In fact, I just sold a property 2 weeks ago down the street, and I'm just curious. Interest rates have increased pretty drastically, and I have a number of clients that are just kind of reassessing, what they might do for their exit plans moving forward. Are you at all in considering being in the business of selling or buying anything right now?
Hmm. I mean, everything's for sale at the right price.
The right price?
Yeah, I just don't know what I would do. Where would I place the money right now? The interest rates are just crazy, so I don't know.
It seems like you're where a lot of my clients are at. They're uncertain with rising interest rates and where to place the capital, even if they sold.
Yeah, and like I have to place the capital somewhere because I'm not going to pay all the taxes on the exit of my property. So that's why I'm just holding it for right now.
Holding it for right now. Yeah, it seems like that's not a bad strategy at all because of the unknown. Um, Curious, what have you done like a 1 to 3, 5 year kind of analysis on what that might look like for you and your goals?
No, last year we reached our kind of like 10-year goal with the property. We've owned it for a long time. And, I think we thought we would exit last year because we'd like to move into retirement. But I just think that everything's so uncertain. And like I said, we don't know where we'd place the money and we don't want to be subject to the capital gains. So that's why we're just kind of like sitting on it right now.
One question I found that is very helpful is clarifying what you're trying to achieve. So I have a lot of clients that talk retirement is what they're, ultimately wanting to do. But what does that really mean? So have you taken the time and what would that look like to truly be retired from your real estate? Like what would that look like?
Well, we have great income from the property, but we still manage it and we still repair things. So there's still like an active component. So for me, I'd like to go spend time in Italy. I'd like to be able to be away. And so like for me to have the same money incoming, like just a paycheck that shows up and not have to do the management and all the repairs and stuff that we've done for 10 years now, that's retirement to me.
It seems like you're like a lot of my clients. They've worked blood, sweat, and tears for many, many, many years. They have good cash flow and they're doing well, but some of their time and energy is tied up with the properties. Is that a ridiculous thing to say?
No, that's it's a true statement.
Ciara, that's a perfect reason for us to meet. A lot of people don't realize there's multiple ways to exit without having to incur huge capital gains tax and actually increase your cash flow. Not using a 1031 exchange. I happen to specialize in this exact strategy. Would you be open to meeting for 30 minutes? I'm actually going to be in the area next week to kind of just I can just introduce this to you, introduce myself to you. Would that be something you'd be wanting to do?
Yeah, you said something about like capital gains, like tax strategy.
Yeah, because people don't know how to exit. And so it's like 25 to 50% of the gain is going to be hit with capital gains tax and depreciation recapture. I'm sure you heard of this. This is part of why people do 1031 exchanges. But the problem with the 1031 exchange is it just puts you typically in the same scenario that you were in before. Like you just sold your $10 million, park and you're having to go to a $15 million park. And so you have these new problems and these new challenges. And you're like, I have my existing problems. And at least I know them. So yeah, we have something where you don't have to do all that yet. You don't have to, you can still defer the capital gains tax. It's actually really amazing solution for a lot of people who are in your exact situation. So I would love to come by and just show you that. In fact, I've got to jump on my next call right now. I'm up against the wire here, but I'm gonna be in your area Tuesday or Thursday of next week. What if I just came by? We can get coffee for 45 minutes and I can show you exactly what the strategy is and how it can maybe help you.
Yeah, actually, I think that'd be great. I'll get my husband to come along too.
Perfect. What's his name?
George.
Perfect. Yeah. I'm looking forward to meeting George. By the way, if you happen to have your income and expenses statements or any current rent rolls, that would be helpful too if you could bring that to the meeting because that can help us to do some analysis. So I'll see you at 12 o'clock. Blah, 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 blah. Bye.
Perfect. Thanks.
Perfect. All right. So Ciara, what did you learn from that call or what questions do you have on that?
Definitely get the meeting. like when you offer solutions or you're trying to offer answers to these folks, you're not going to get it all on the first call, as I'm realizing. So I think that follow-up meeting, and like you said, in-person Zoom, however you can just follow up with them and take that extra time to really be able to answer their questions and find their solutions. I love the idea of like really laser focused on getting that first meeting.
Perfect. And by the way, do you see how I gave the what and the why? I didn't give the how. So you're like, oh, there's a way to do that. And I gave the what and the why. Yeah, there's a lot of clients that really struggle like you do too. And the what is the problem itself with capital gains tax, 25 to 50% of the gain, wanting cash flow. And then you asked kind of again, I said, yeah, people know about a 1031, and that's the what. And it typically doesn't really solve the problem because they're just moving into more problems. So I'm talking about the what and the why, like their pain, they're overwhelmed, they're struggling, they're frustrated, kind of tie into the emotion, the what, but I'm not going into the how. As soon as you're going to the how, you're in the friend zone, right? You're basically, they're extracting the information with no real commitment to you, right? They're extracting the information with no real anything for you. And that will lead into our next call. Actually, in 1 week, we're having another one of these where we're going to talk about now what? Now, if you actually get the meeting, right, what are you going to do? And let me also break down a few things that you might have caught during that. I had an introduction. By the way, I didn't say, hey, is Ciara available? I didn't say when I first called you, right? I didn't say, hey, is Ciara there? Like kind of cautious, like, is it, I actually just said Ciara straight up, right? As if I've known you for 15 years and maybe I've not known you, I've never talked to you. It doesn't matter. I'm coming there as I'm your best friend, or at least I'm really assertive and focused on you. Like, Ciara, I'm excited to talk to you. I say your first name and I say it with conviction. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Number two, you said, oh, who's this? My name is Brett Swarts. I'm an expert in multifamily investment properties. Okay. So that was who I am, right, in Sacramento. And then I did an interest generator. I actually just sold a property down the street from you, right? And this is even more maybe a credibility statement, which is pretty good, right? And I'm just curious, would you at all be in the market to buy or sell a property? And I know that's a closed-ended question, and sometimes we're taught to give open-ended questions, but this gets right to the point, right? And then I'm going to open it up with an open-ended question, right? And you said, oh, I'm always in the business of, if the price is right. And then I didn't say, what's the price? I just mirrored what you said. I said, price is right. And that opened you up again. And so when you can mirror, and there's a book called by Chris Voss called Never Split the Difference. And he talks about mirroring and labeling, but mirroring basically is repeating the last few words that you just said on something that you want more information on. So you said price is right. And so I said, price is right? Like in a curious voice. And he said, yeah. And you opened up a little bit more. And then I forgot where it went from there. But then I was able to use that and do another open-ended question to get some more information, right? And now I'm looking for opportunities to close for the meeting, okay? Now I've developed a little bit of rapport, a little bit of credibility, a little bit of conversation, a little bit of flow in the conversation, right? And now I'm listening for windows of opportunities to close for a meeting. And as you talked a little bit more, I dropped a couple other interest generators in there, right? Yeah, these ways you actually can defer, capital gains tax and increase cash flow. And then I also did a labeling. I labeled. So you said, yeah, retirement, and day to day and stuff. And I said, it seems like, it's a great way to put down. It seems like you spend a lot of time and energy on the property. You got good cash flow. It's going well, but maybe it's not as much as time and energy you want to be spending on it. And he said, that's exactly right. Right. So that phrase, it seems like, is a label, right? And it's labeling the emotions, or it's labeling the motivation, essentially, of why you might want to sell. So now all of a sudden you're going, wow, he's actually understanding what I'm saying and feeling, right? And now I know that, and I can feel that. So now I'm going to close for the meeting. But if you don't have that kind of a little bit of that emotional connection and that's just by mirroring and labeling, I can open up more dialogue and open up windows of opportunity to close for a meeting. If in the very beginning you had have said, oh, I'm gonna pause there. Does that make sense? I want you to repeat back what I just said. Does that make sense about mirroring and labeling? What did I just say?
It does. Yeah. I see how you flipped it to like, you open them back up to like their statement and you turn it into a question and get them to kind of like compound further.
Mm-hmm. Good. So how would you mirror the last few words I just said?
Well, you kind of finished with like, does that make sense?
So the interest rates and inflation is going through the roof. Like, gosh, even if I wanted to sell, it's like doubling my interest rate. It makes zero sense. Zero cents? That would be what you say. 0 cents? Because what do I really mean by 0 cents, right? So say 0 cents.
So 0 cents?
Yeah, 0 cents, right? I mean, gosh, my interest rate is like 3.5, and like, it's set to adjust, I know, in a couple of years, but I'd have to borrow like at 6.5% on a 1031 exchange and all this capital gains tax, like, and have to face the 45-180. I mean, it just makes 0 sense to put myself in a position like that and take all that risk. What am I feeling right now? Uncertainty, right?
Kind of
so you might say something like this. You might label that. It seems like you're a bit uncertain about interest rates and where things are going, and selling in today's market. Is that a ridiculous thing to say?
Okay.
So label my emotion.
So Brett, it sounds like you're a little uncertain, not sure where to go, and kind of worried about where we're at in the market. Does that seem about right?
Yeah, it does. It's exactly right.
And then from there, I think you kind of went into a solution you might be able to offer.
Exactly. So now I might do another interest generator. So I might be like, Ciara, let me tell you, we're helping clients every single day analyze their properties to create a game plan for the future. And there's never been more important time to do this because there's so much uncertainty in the marketplace. It seems like you'd really benefit from this so you can get some clarity about what to do, especially as it pertains to your adjustable rate mortgage. I'm actually going to be in your area Tuesday and Thursday of next week, or if it's out of state. I've actually got a few time openings Tuesday and Thursday. Those are the weeks that I do proposals, and I work with people one-on-one to kind of game plan and map out a strategy. Would you like a complimentary time to spend together to kind of analyze your property and as it pertains to your goals with what's going on?
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be hard to find someone that says no to that.
And they might say, well, I'm not selling, Ciara. And you go, and I'm not asking you to sell. I'm only here to help you, right? Now, if you sell, that's great. I'd love to list to sell your property, right? But I'm not asking that. I'm simply wanting to break down and analyze what are the opportunities that we could be seeing with your property and how you might position it in a way that helps to solve your goals. So now I'm going to go to close again. So how about Wednesday at 10 a.m.? Would that work for you for an hour-long Zoom or an hour-long meeting?
Yeah, Wednesday at 10 would be great.
Perfect. Sounds great. Hey, I'll send you the invite. This is your email, right? Yeah, excellent. Great. And I'll send you a text reminder too, probably the day before. And look forward to spending some time with you. See you then. Bye. Get off the phone. Get off the phone. Get off the phone, right? Because they might go, no, set the meeting, get off the phone, right? Do not go into the how. Do not start talking more. Just get the meetings. That make sense?
Yep.
All right. That's the training for the day. And if you want to check us out on any of our trainings or our team that we're building across the country, look at expmastery.com. If you want to learn more about these tax deferral strategies that I was talking about that don't involve a 1031, you go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. You can look up me, Brett Swarts, on LinkedIn and Instagram and all the other stuff. And then Ciara, where can they find you?
They can just find me at eXpcommercial.com for right now.
Until she has her YouTube channel and until she has her website. Exactly. But we're on the same team. And if you're interested in joining eXp, we'd also love the opportunity to interview to see if you could be a good fit for our team. So thanks so much for watching, and we will talk to everyone real soon. We'll be back next week for another tactical commercial.